The transport vessel drifted through the silver dust clouds that curled around the outer rim of the Vela sector. In the dim cabin sat a human explorer named Ray, known among his crew for his unusual habit of diffusing tension with jokes that were usually misplaced but oddly effective. His role as contact emissary for new species made him a figure many worlds recognized, though he never considered himself important. His curiosity and willingness to speak plainly set him apart, and sometimes that sincere simplicity carried him into strange encounters. This voyage took him toward a diplomatic meeting with a faction known as the Kova Dominion. They were respected across star routes, known for discipline, honor, and a calm fierceness that intimidated most envoys. Yet to humanity's surprise, the Dominion had sent a direct request. They wanted to meet a human, and specifically they wanted Ray. He wondered why, even as the stars outside rippled like scattered ice crystals. The docking clamps locked with a soft thud as he landed inside, a massive hangar lined with shimmering obsidian plates. Kova soldiers stood along the edges and organized. Rows, their armor shaped like layered stone, their eyes glowing with a faint pale hue. At the center of the hall stood their leader, the Warlord Arson, towering and composed, her posture both serene and commanding. She was taller than Ray, her features sharp yet soothing, her expression unreadable, except for a soft upward curve at the edge of her mouth. Ray stepped down the ramp with a relaxed wave, trying not to look too impressed. Arson observed him with a calm that felt like a gravitational force, and he felt the weight of her attention even as he approached. She offered him a slight bow, a gesture rare for someone of her rank. He returned the bow, hoping he had guessed the correct depth. Arson spoke with a voice that resonated like clear metal. She welcomed him as an honored guest and explained that their meeting held great importance for the future of her people. Ray listened with interest, though he sensed tension among the soldiers around them. Their eyes followed him as if evaluating something unseen. He decided humor might ease the atmosphere during their walk through the grand corridor lined with mural panels of ancient battles and victories. Ray noticed Arson studying him in subtle glances. Her presence carried a quiet intensity. He felt compelled to speak, partly to break silence, and partly because her seriousness made him nervous. He joked lightly, telling her that for a warrior leader of such grandeur, she would make a cute wife. The moment the words left his mouth, he regretted them, fearing he had overstepped cultural boundaries. Her steps slowed. The soldier stiffened. The corridor fell absolutely silent, as if the air paused. Arson turned her head with a calm, unreadable expression. Then, to Ray's utter shock, she smiled. It was a small, genuine smile that softened her entire presence. Without saying anything, she guided him into a private chamber, stepped inside, and gently closed the door behind them. His mind raced, wondering whether he had accidentally initiated a diplomatic ritual, a trial, or something else entirely. The chamber was lit with gentle blue lines running along the walls, forming patterns resembling constellations. Arson stood near the center, observing him with composed curiosity. Ray felt compelled to clarify that the joke had no hidden meaning. She listened, her calm expression giving no sign of offense. Instead, she asked why humans teased so freely, why they used humor to bridge tension. Ray explained that humans often use jokes to ease fear, soothe uncertainty, or show friendliness without pushing boundaries. Arson nodded thoughtfully, as if learning something valuable. She revealed the true reason the Dominion sought humanity. For centuries, her people had lived by rigid codes to maintain unity and strength. Yet those codes lacked something essential, something her advisors believed humanity possessed. She said humanity handled unpredictability with resilience and developed bonds through simple gestures rather than strict discipline. She explained they admired how humans adapted and survived without losing compassion. Ray was surprised, since humanity rarely considered itself admirable on a galactic scale. Arson told him that his reputation for sincerity and honesty had reached Kova council chambers. They believed he represented what humanity valued most. Ray felt humbled and unsure of how to respond. Arson stepped closer, her tone gentle yet firm. She asked if his joke had been meant as a challenge or as an invitation to connection. Ray quickly answered that it was a playful remark without deeper intent. Arson studied him and then revealed that within Kova, culture calling someone a potential partner in jest held powerful symbolic meaning. It showed bravery and an open heart. She said few would dare say such a thing to a warlord. For her people it was considered an acknowledgement of trust. Ray froze, realizing he had unintentionally performed a culturally significant gesture. Arson reassured him that she took no offense. Rather, she appreciated his honesty. The soldiers outside reacted with shock because they believed he had initiated a bond ritual. She said the closed door meant she accepted a conversation free of witnesses, something she rarely offered to anyone. Ray felt overwhelmed, though her calm presence soothed him. Arson led him to a circular seating area near a floating projection pool. With a wave of her hand, it displayed images from the Dominion's history, their struggles, their search for balance, and the burdens she carried as leader. She explained that their society depended on strength, but strength alone could not guide them forward. They sought connection, creativity, and the ability to see beyond rigid structure. These qualities, she believed, humans possessed naturally. Ray listened as she described her fear that her people's traditions would limit their growth. She wanted guidance not through conquest, but through understanding. Ray realized this meeting held more meaning than he expected. He asked how he could help. Arson said she wanted him to teach them how humans form trust, cooperation, and unity without overwhelming rules. She said the Dominion admired humanity's ability to choose allies rather than command them. Ray hesitated at the idea of guiding an entire civilization, yet Arson assured him she did not expect him to shoulder responsibility alone. She simply wanted him to speak openly and share how humans built relationships. Ray agreed to help in any way he could. Over the following days, he met with council members, soldiers, and scholars. He explained how humans overcame disagreements, how they valued empathy, and how humor could soften conflict. The Kova listened with interest, sometimes asking deeply analytical questions that forced Ray to think more carefully than he ever had. Arson often stood nearby, observing with quiet pride as her people absorbed new ideas. Though the Kova were disciplined, Ray noticed they adapted quickly. They began testing his lessons by interacting more freely, greeting him with light jokes or open conversation. They seemed fascinated by how simple words could forge trust. Ray found himself forming genuine friendships among them. Arson spent more time near him than anyone else. She asked about Earth, its oceans, forests, and cities. She asked about human music, art, and celebrations. Ray described festivals where people danced freely, holidays built around gratitude, and quiet nights filled with soft lights. Arson listened with the attentiveness of someone absorbing distant wonders. One evening she invited him to a balcony overlooking the Dominion capital. The city glowed with steady lights along elegant towers. Below them a river shimmered like liquid glass. Arson pointed out various districts, describing how each one embodied a different value of their culture. Ray admired the harmony of their architecture, their careful design, and their dedication to beauty even within a disciplined society. Arson turned to him with a calm gaze and asked whether his remark about her being a cute wife was simply humor or if he found her admirable. Ray felt warmth rise in his face. He said he respected her leadership, her thoughtfulness, and her strength. She nodded with a serene expression that seemed to soften slightly at the edges. As the days passed, the Dominion gradually integrated his teachings into their practices. Council meetings became more open. Officers began encouraging creative solutions rather than rigid obedience. Ray witnessed a culture shifting gently, not by command, but by choice. Arson thanked him for helping them take the first steps toward a more flexible future. However, Ray noticed a subtle change in how Arson interacted with him. Her gaze lingered longer. Her steps slowed slightly when they walked side by side. She sometimes asked personal questions about what he valued in companionship, trust, and partnership. Ray answered carefully, sensing her interest but unsure how to interpret it. One day she invited him to a secluded hall adorned with glowing crystal pillars. She stood in formal attire, but with a softness in her expression he had not seen before. She explained that the Dominion had acknowledged his contributions and offered him honorary status among their people. She said he was welcome to stay as long as he wished. Ray thanked her, but said he also missed his homeworld. Arson accepted his answer with quiet understanding. Yet she asked one more question. She wanted to know whether humanity saw connection as something that could grow from accidental beginnings. Ray said it often did, and that many bonds started unexpectedly from simple moments. Arson stepped closer, her voice low and calm. She said the moment he joked about her being a cute wife had stayed with her. She said it had opened a possibility she had never considered. She asked if he would allow her to explore that possibility, not as a leader, but as an individual seeking companionship. Ray felt his heart race. He appreciated her honesty. He told her he valued her deeply, but needed time to understand his feelings fully. Arson nodded without offense. She said she respected patience as much as courage. She invited him to walk with her one last time before his departure. They walked through the Dominion gardens where silver blossoms shimmered in a gentle breeze. Arson described how the flowers thrived by bending rather than resisting wind. Ray said humans often used similar metaphors about flexibility and resilience. Arson smiled softly. At the end of the path she stopped and turned to him. She thanked him for bringing warmth into her structured world and for teaching her people that strength could coexist with openness. She said their future would be brighter because of what he shared. Ray felt honored. Before they parted, she did something unexpected. She reached for his hand, held it gently, and said that if he ever returned the door he once joked about closing would remain open not as a ritual, but as a sincere invitation. Ray felt a warmth rise in his chest. He told her he would remember that. When he finally left the Dominion capital, the soldiers saluted him with new respect and genuine affection. Arson stood at the center of the hall, her calm presence radiating quiet pride. As the transport ascended, Ray watched the city lights fade into the distance. He wondered whether the joke he had spoken so casually would echo through his future in ways he could not yet imagine. The Dominion changed in the months that followed. Their councils grew more collaborative. Their alliances expanded. Their culture began embracing creativity alongside discipline. Ray's teachings spread across their star roots, shaping new generations who saw connection as strength. Arson guided them with steady grace, carrying both tradition and newfound openness. Ray returned to Earth, but remained in communication with Arsen. Their messages grew more personal over time. She sent him images of festivals inspired by human customs. He sent her recordings of laughter from gatherings with friends. They shared their worlds through simple words that carried growing affection. One cycle later, the Dominion sent another request. They invited Ray to return not as an emissary, but as a friend. He accepted with quiet excitement. When he arrived at the capital, once more Arson greeted him at the docking bay. She stepped forward with a calm smile that held the warmth of someone who had waited with patience and hope. Ray realized the simple remark he once made had become something meaningful far beyond his expectations. As she guided him through the corridor again, the soldiers watched with respectful curiosity. Arson paused near the chamber where she had once closed the door. She looked at him with gentle confidence, and asked whether he wished to step inside together, once more not for misunderstanding this time, but for choice. Ray nodded Dot, and Arson closed the door.